The morning sun was just beginning to shine through the tall windows of the grand palace. Everything was quiet and peaceful. But inside the old storage room beneath the palace, something very different was about to happen. Marcus was not like other guards. He had worked at the palace for 12 years. He was strong, loyal, and very careful about his job. Every day, he walked the same halls, checked the same doors, and made sure everything was safe. But today felt different. Today, something strange would change his life forever. The head guard had given Marcus a special task. "Marcus," he said that morning, "we need you to check the old storage room in the East Wing. We are planning to clean it up, see if there is anything important down there." Marcus nodded. This was a normal job. But as he walked down the narrow stone stairs into the darkness below the palace, he felt something unusual. His heart was beating a little faster. Something felt wrong, but he did not know why. The storage room was full of old things. There were broken chairs, old paintings, boxes of papers, and furniture that nobody wanted anymore. Dust was everywhere. Spider webs hung from the ceiling like thin curtains. Marcus walked slowly through the room, looking at everything carefully. As he moved deeper into the room, he saw something he had never noticed before. In the far corner, behind a tall wooden cupboard, there was an old brown trunk. It was very old and very dirty. Marcus pushed the heavy cupboard to the side. It was difficult work, and he looked at the trunk more carefully. The trunk was locked with a heavy metal chain. This was strange. Why would someone chain up an old trunk in a storage room? Why would they hide it behind a cupboard? Marcus felt his curiosity growing inside him like a fire. "This is not normal," Marcus whispered to himself. He tried to open the trunk, but it would not move. The chain was too strong. Marcus looked around the room. He found an old iron tool near the broken furniture. He came back to the trunk and began to work. Slowly, carefully, he pulled and pushed the chain. His arms became tired, but he did not stop. Then, suddenly, the chain broke. It fell to the ground with a loud sound that echoed through the empty room. Marcus took a long breath. He reached down and lifted the heavy trunk lid. What he saw inside made his blood go cold. Inside the trunk were many things. There were letters tied with old ribbons. There were photographs, old photographs of people he recognized. But most shocking of all, there was a school uniform. It was small, clearly for a child, and on the uniform there was a name tag that said Princess Elena. Marcus froze. Princess Elena? But that was impossible. There was no Princess Elena. There had never been a Princess Elena. At least, not one that anybody knew about. Marcus's mind was moving very quickly now. He carefully took out the photographs. In the first picture, he saw the young queen from 30 years ago. She was smiling, holding a small baby. The baby was wearing a pink dress. But who was this baby? Marcus had studied the royal family his whole life. He knew all the children. But this child, he had never seen her before. He looked at more photographs. There was the same child at different ages. In one picture, she was maybe 5 years old, playing in a garden. In another, she was older, maybe 10, standing next to someone Marcus recognized, an older royal family member who had died many years ago. The letters were written in careful, neat handwriting. Marcus opened one slowly. It was dated 30 years ago. He began to read. "My dear sister, I cannot believe what has happened. The doctors say everything will be okay, but I am so worried. The family is keeping this completely secret. Nobody can know. Nobody must know. Please keep these letters safe. One day, perhaps, the truth will come out. But for now, we must be strong and keep this hidden. Your loving brother." Marcus sat down on the dirty floor. His legs felt weak. This was a huge secret. This was something very, very important. But what did it mean? What happened to Princess Elena? Why was she hidden away? Why did nobody know about her? As Marcus sat there in the dust and darkness, he heard a sound. Footsteps. Someone was coming down the stairs to the storage room. Marcus quickly began to put the letters back into the trunk. But as he was putting things away, he made a mistake. One letter fell to the floor near his foot. He could not pick it up in time. He quickly closed the trunk lid, But it was too late. A man appeared in the doorway. It was not a regular guard or a worker. It was someone very important, someone who worked directly with the royal family. His face became very serious when he saw Marcus sitting next to the trunk. "Marcus," the man said slowly, "what are you doing down here?" Marcus stood up very quickly. "Sir, I was checking the storage room like you asked me to. I was just looking at the old things to see if anything needed to be thrown away." The man looked at the broken chain on the ground. He looked at the trunk. He looked at Marcus. His face became darker and more serious. "Go upstairs," the man said quietly. "Go back to your normal duties. Say nothing about this room. Do you understand me?" "Nothing." Marcus nodded quickly. He walked toward the stairs, but inside his heart, he was full of questions. As he climbed back up to the palace above, one thought stayed in his mind. What happened to Princess Elena? And why did the palace want to keep her such a big secret? 3 days had passed since Marcus found the trunk. 3 days of sleeping poorly, thinking about the letters, and wondering about Princess Elena. He had tried to act normal, but everything felt different now. Every time someone looked at him, he wondered if they knew what he found. Every time someone spoke to him, he thought they were watching him carefully. Marcus worked his normal shifts. He walked the palace hallways. He checked the doors and gates. He stood in his guard uniform, looking strong and serious. But inside, he was not calm. Inside, he was confused and worried. On the 3rd night, Marcus was working the late shift. The palace was quiet. Most people were sleeping. The hallways were dark, except for small lights along the walls. Marcus was walking to the north corridor when a door suddenly opened beside him. It was the same man from the storage room. His name was Stevens, and he worked as an assistant to the royal family. He was a powerful man, a man who made important decisions and knew many secrets. "Marcus," Stevens said quietly, "come with me. We need to talk." Marcus followed him into a small private room. There was a desk, some chairs, and nothing else. The door closed behind them. Stevens looked very serious. "Sit down," Stevens said. Marcus sat. His heart was beating very fast. Stevens walked slowly around the room, not looking at Marcus directly. "You found something in the storage room," Stevens said finally. "Something you were not supposed to find." Marcus did not answer. He did not know what to say. "I saw the broken chain," Stevens continued. "I saw that you had opened the trunk. I found this on the floor near where you were sitting." He held up a small piece of paper. It was part of one of the letters Marcus had dropped. "Sir," Marcus began, "I was just—" "Listen to me very carefully," Stevens interrupted. His voice was quiet but very firm. "What you found in that trunk is a family matter. It is a private matter. It is something that has been kept secret for 30 years, and it will remain secret. Do you understand me?" "But, sir," Marcus said slowly, "who is Princess Elena? Why is she—" "There is no Princess Elena," Stevens said quickly. His eyes became harder. "There never was a Princess Elena. There never will be a Princess Elena. That trunk, those letters, those photographs, they do not exist. You never saw them. You never found anything. Do you understand?" Marcus felt confused and frightened. "Sir, I do not understand. If there is no Princess Elena, then why are these things hidden? Why is the trunk locked with chain? Why?" Stevens walked very close to Marcus. He looked directly into his eyes. "I am telling you this for your own good, Marcus. Some things are dangerous to know. Some secrets are kept for good reasons. The royal family has decided that certain information must stay hidden. This is one of those things." "But the letter," Marcus said quietly, "it said the truth might come out one day. It said—" "No," Stevens said firmly. "The letter said nothing like that. You read the letter wrong. You were tired. You were confused. You misunderstood what you saw." Marcus knew this was not true. He had read the letter clearly. He had understood every word. But he also understood something else. Stevens was warning him, more than warning him, threatening him. "What will happen if I tell people what I found?" Marcus asked. Stevens smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "You will not tell anyone, Marcus. Because if you do, You will no longer be a guard at this palace. You will lose your job. Your reputation will be destroyed. People will say you are a liar, that you made up stories, that you cannot be trusted. Your family will suffer. Your life will become very difficult. And if I stay quiet? Marcus asked. If you stay quiet, Stephen said, then you will continue your good job. You will be promoted. Perhaps you will receive better pay. You will have a good life. The royal family takes care of people who are loyal and who keep their secrets. Stevens walked toward the door. The storage room is being sealed tomorrow. The trunk is being removed. Everything will be gone. Act like this never happened. Marcus, forget what you saw. Forget the letters. Forget the photographs. Forget the name Elena. Can you do that? Marcus did not answer immediately. He thought about his job. He thought about his small apartment. He thought about his sick mother, who depended on his money. He thought about his young sister, who wanted to study at university. Yes, sir, Marcus said finally. I will forget. Stevens nodded. Good. I knew you were a smart man, Marcus. I knew you would make the right choice. He opened the door to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Do not go back to the storage room. Do not speak to anyone about what you saw. Do not write anything about this. Not in emails, not in letters, not anywhere. Some things are better left alone. Some questions are better left unanswered. Understand? Yes, sir, Marcus said again. After Stevens left, Marcus sat alone in the small room for a long time. He thought about Princess Elena, whoever she was. He thought about the letters and the photographs. He thought about the secret that had been kept for 30 years. But mostly he thought about his choice. He had chosen security and money over truth. He had chosen to stay silent. Marcus went back to work. The next day, he walked past the storage room. The door was sealed with metal plate. 2 workers were carrying boxes up from below. Everything was gone. But Marcus could not forget, even though he tried, even though he promised he would. The mystery of Princess Elena stayed in his mind like a shadow that would not go away. That night, when he was at home, Marcus did something very risky. He took out paper and pen. In secret, he began writing down everything he could remember about what he had found. Every detail, every word from the letter, every face in the photographs. He hid the papers in a safe place. He did not know why he did this. Perhaps one day, the truth needed to be told. Perhaps one day, someone needed to know about Princess Elena. But for now, Marcus kept the secret, just like Stevens had told him to do. The palace continued as normal. Nobody knew anything. Nobody asked any questions. But the truth was still there, waiting, hidden like the trunk had been hidden, waiting for the right moment to come out into the light. 2 months had passed. Marcus continued his work as a palace guard. Every day was the same. Walk the hallways, check the doors, stand watch. But inside, everything was different. The secret about Princess Elena lived in his mind like a ghost that would not leave him alone. Marcus had kept the written notes hidden in his apartment. He read them sometimes, late at night, when nobody could see him. He added more details when he remembered them. But he told nobody. He asked nobody. He simply waited and wondered. Then, one cold morning in November, something unusual happened. A woman came to the palace. She was older, maybe 60 years old, with gray hair and kind eyes. She said she was a historian. She said she was writing a book about palace architecture and history. The guards let her inside because she had all the correct papers and permission from the royal family. Marcus saw her walking through the hallways with a guide who was showing her around the palace. She looked at everything very carefully. She took notes and took photographs. She seemed very interested in the old parts of the palace, the parts that were not used very much anymore. That afternoon, Marcus had a break from his duties. He went to the small guard room where guards could rest. He was very surprised to find the historian woman sitting there, drinking tea with old Thomas, another guard who had worked at the palace for even longer than Marcus. "Oh, Marcus," Thomas said cheerfully. Come. This is Professor Catherine. She is writing a very interesting book about the palace. She is asking me about the old history of this place." The woman stood up and smiled at Marcus. "Hello, I am Catherine. Your friend Thomas has been very helpful. He knows so much about this palace." "Hello," Marcus said carefully. He felt nervous. He did not know why. "I was just telling Professor Catherine about the different areas of the palace," Thomas said. "The old storage rooms, the secret passages, all the interesting things from the past." Catherine looked directly at Marcus. "Your friend Thomas mentioned that there are many storage rooms beneath the palace. Very old rooms. He said some of them have not been opened in many years." Marcus felt his heart begin to beat faster. He looked at Thomas, but Thomas was just smiling and drinking his tea. He did not seem to understand how important this question was. "Yes," Marcus said slowly. "There are old storage rooms." "How interesting," Catherine said. She sat down again and looked at Marcus carefully. "I study palace history. Old secrets. Things that people have forgotten about. Sometimes I find very interesting information in old storage rooms. I think most of those rooms are empty," Marcus said quickly. "Just old furniture and broken things." Catherine smiled. It was a strange smile. "Sometimes," she said, "the most important things are hidden in plain sight, in empty rooms, in locked trunks, in forgotten places." Marcus felt like Catherine was looking directly into his soul, like she knew something, like she knew about the trunk, like she knew about Princess Elena. "I have to return to my duties," Marcus said, standing up. "Wait," Catherine said. She stood up too. She reached into her bag and took out a small card. "If you ever want to talk about palace history, or if you ever find anything interesting that you think I should know about, please contact me. I am very interested in stories. True stories. Stories that people have kept secret." Marcus took the card slowly. It said, "Professor Catherine Wells, Royal History Research." "Thank you," Marcus said quietly. "One more thing," Catherine added. "I have been researching the royal family for 30 years. I know that many secrets are kept hidden. Many stories are not told. But I also know that secrets do not stay hidden forever. One day, the truth always comes out. Sometimes it takes 30 years. Sometimes it takes longer, but it always comes out." Marcus said nothing. He put the card in his pocket and left the room quickly. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He kept thinking about Catherine. He kept thinking about what she had said. She seemed to know something. But how could she know? How could she possibly know about Princess Elena? The next morning, Marcus did something very dangerous. He used his computer at home and searched for Professor Catherine Wells on the internet. He found many results. She was a real person. She was a famous historian. She had written many books about royal families. She had studied European royalty for 30 years. But what interested Marcus most was an old article from 15 years ago. It was in a newspaper. The headline said, "Historian claims secret royal child hidden from public. Palace denies story." Marcus read the article carefully. It said that Catherine had written a research paper about hidden royal children in European history. She mentioned that there might be a child in the British royal family who had been kept secret, but the palace had denied this completely. Catherine had been criticized by other historians. Her book had been very controversial. "She knows," Marcus whispered to himself. "She knows about Elena. She has been looking for this information for many years." Marcus looked at the card again. He thought about what Catherine had said. Secrets do not stay hidden forever. One day, the truth always comes out. Marcus made a decision. It was a big decision, a dangerous decision. But he could not stay silent forever. He could not pretend that the trunk, the letters, and photographs did not exist. He took out his phone. He looked at Catherine's phone number on the card. His hand was shaking. If he called her, everything could change. His job could end. His life could become very difficult. But what was the point of keeping a secret that was so important? What was the point of protecting lies? Marcus took a long breath. He picked up his phone. He dialed the number. Catherine answered on the second ring. "Hello," she said. "Professor Wells." Marcus said quietly, "This is Marcus, the guard from the palace. I have something I want to tell you, but I need to meet somewhere private, somewhere nobody will see us." There was a long silence. Then Catherine said, "Marcus, I have been waiting for someone to call me for 15 years. Tell me where to meet you. We have a lot to discuss about Princess Elena." Marcus felt shocked. How did she know the name? How did she know? But he did not ask. Instead, he told her where to meet him, tomorrow night, in a quiet place away from the palace. After he hung up, Marcus sat in the darkness of his apartment. He knew his life was about to change forever. He had made his choice. He had decided to tell the truth. Whatever happened next, at least Princess Elena's story would finally be told. The old warehouse was empty and quiet. It was located far away from the palace, near the edge of the city where nobody important ever went. Marcus arrived first. He was nervous. His hands were shaking slightly. He looked around to make sure nobody had followed him. Catherine arrived exactly on time. She walked slowly toward him, carrying a large folder under her arm. She looked older in person than in her photographs online, but her eyes were bright and intelligent. "Marcus," she said quietly, "thank you for calling me. I know this was a difficult decision." They sat on two old wooden boxes in the empty warehouse. The only light came from a small window high above them. "Tell me everything," Catherine said gently. "From the beginning." Marcus took a long breath. Then he began. He told Catherine about finding the trunk. He described the chain that had locked it. He talked about the letters, the photographs, and the school uniform with the name Princess Elena written on it. He told her about Stephen's warning him. He told her about everything he had remembered and written down. Catherine listened carefully. She did not interrupt. She did not ask questions. She simply listened with complete attention. When Marcus finished, Catherine opened her folder. Inside were many papers, photographs, and documents. She had been researching this for so long. "Marcus," Catherine said slowly, "what you have told me confirms what I have suspected for many years. But there is much more to the story, much more that you need to know." She took out an old photograph. It showed the royal family from 30 years ago. She pointed to a young woman who was smiling at the camera. "This is Princess Emma," Catherine said. She was the sister of the current king. She was beautiful, intelligent, and loved by everyone in the family. But nobody talks about her anymore. Do you know why? Marcus shook his head. "Because she died," Catherine said. "Officially, she died in a car accident. It was announced to the newspapers. There was a funeral. Everyone mourned her. But I have always believed that the official story was not completely true." Catherine took out another document. 30 years ago, Princess Emma was secretly pregnant. She was not married. In those days, this was a huge scandal for the royal family. The family decided to keep it completely secret. They could not allow the public to know. So they arranged for the baby to be born in private. The baby was a girl. They named her Elena. Marcus listened carefully. "But here is the most important part," Catherine continued. "Princess Emma could not stay and raise the child publicly. The scandal would have destroyed the family. So Elena was given to another family to raise. A family that was not royal. A family that lived far away from the palace. The family was given money to keep it secret. They promised never to tell anyone about the child." "What happened to Princess Emma?" Marcus asked. "That is the mystery," Catherine said sadly. "The official story said she died in a car accident, but I believe something else happened. I believe she died of a broken heart. Or perhaps she could not bear the pain of being separated from her child. I have found records of her visiting certain hospitals. I have found evidence that she was very depressed. Within a year of giving up Elena, she was gone." Catherine showed Marcus more documents. Medical records, newspaper clippings, letters that had been kept secret for years. "The royal family wanted to erase her from history," Catherine explained. "They wanted to erase Elena too. They wanted to pretend that none of this had ever happened. So they locked away everything. The letters, the photographs, the proof that Elena ever existed." "But why?" Marcus asked. "Why would they want to erase such an important secret?" "Because of power and reputation," Catherine said. "Royal families are built on traditions and rules. If people knew that the king's sister had a secret child, it would damage the family's image. It would make people question whether the royal family follows the same rules as everyone else." It will be seen as dishonest. Marcus felt angry. But it is dishonest. They are lying to everyone. They are pretending that a person never existed. Yes, Catherine agreed. That is exactly why I have been trying to find the truth for so many years. People deserve to know. History should be honest. Elena deserves to be remembered. What happened to Elena? Marcus asked. Where is she now? Catherine's expression became sad. That is what I have not been able to discover. I have searched for many years. I have tried to find the family that raised her, but the royal family covered their tracks very well. I know she was born 30 years ago. I know she was placed with a family somewhere in the country, but I do not know who she is now. I do not know if she knows her real mother was a princess. I do not know if she knows the truth about her birth. So Elena might be anywhere? Marcus said. She might be anyone? Yes, Catherine said. She could be a teacher, a doctor, a businesswoman. She could be anyone, but she is someone. She is a real person who deserves to know the truth about who she is. Marcus thought about this. He thought about a woman somewhere, living her life, not knowing that she was a princess, not knowing that her mother was a member of the royal family, not knowing that she had been kept secret. What will you do? Marcus asked Catherine. Now that you know I found the trunk, I will write about this, Catherine said firmly. I will tell the truth. I will publish my research. I will show people the evidence, the letters, the photographs, the documents I have collected. I will tell the world about Princess Emma and Princess Elena. They will try to stop you, Marcus said. Stevens told me that people who speak about this will have their lives destroyed. I know, Catherine said calmly. But some truths are more important than personal safety. Some secrets are too important to keep hidden. She looked directly at Marcus. Marcus, I want to ask you something important. I want your permission to use the information you found. The letters, the description of the trunk, the photograph of a uniform with Elena's name. I want to include this in my research. It will prove that the evidence exists. It will prove that the royal family has been hiding this truth. Marcus felt frightened. If he allowed Catherine to use his information, his life would definitely change. He would lose his job. He would become famous, perhaps, or infamous. People would know his name. But then he thought about Elena. He thought about a woman somewhere who did not know who she really was. He thought about Princess Emma, who had lost her child. He thought about all the years of lies and secrets. Yes, Marcus said finally. Use my information. Tell the world. It is time for the truth to come out. Catherine smiled. It was a sad smile, but also a determined smile. Then everything begins now, she said. Tomorrow I will begin writing. Within weeks, my book will be published. Within months, the world will know about Princess Elena, and nothing will ever be the same again. As Marcus left the warehouse that night, he knew his old life was over. A new life was about to begin. A life where the truth mattered more than safety. A life where secrets could finally be revealed. The book was published on a cold January morning. Catherine had titled it, The Hidden Princess, a royal family's greatest secret. Within hours, it was the most talked about book in the entire country. Within days, it was the most talked about book in the whole world. Newspapers wrote about it. Television stations discussed it. People on social media shared it and talked about it constantly. The story of Princess Emma and her secret daughter Elena was everywhere. The palace tried to deny everything. Stevens appeared on television and said that the book contained lies. He said Catherine was a troubled historian who wanted attention. He said the evidence was fake. But people did not believe him. The letters in the book were too detailed. The photographs were too real. The documents were too convincing. 3 weeks after the book was published, something incredible happened. A woman called Catherine. Her name was Sarah. She was a teacher in a small town, 50 miles away from the palace. Sarah had read Catherine's book, and something inside her had broken open. She had always felt different. She had always felt like she did not belong in her family. She had always felt like there was something missing from her life. Sarah had looked in her family's papers. She had found adoption documents. She had found letters that explained she was adopted. She had found her birth certificate, which showed she was born in a private hospital on the same date that Princess Elena was born. "Professor Wells," Sarah said on the phone, crying, "I think I am Elena. I think I am the princess in your book." Catherine's hands were shaking as she listened. This was what she had been looking for 15 years. They arranged to meet. Catherine brought Marcus with her. When Sarah walked into the room, they all felt something. Something strange and powerful and true. It was like looking at a ghost from the past. Sarah looked exactly like the photographs of Princess Emma. She had the same face, the same eyes, the same smile. "I do not know what to believe," Sarah said, sitting down. She was trembling. "I do not know if this is real. I do not know if I am really a princess. My whole life, I thought I was just an ordinary person. And now I am reading that I might be someone important." "You are important," Catherine said gently. "Whether you are a princess or not, you are important. You are a real person with a real history. And you deserve to know the truth about where you come from." They did a DNA test. The results came back within a week. It was confirmed. Sarah was Elena. She was the daughter of Princess Emma. She was a member of the royal family. But the palace still refused to accept it. They said the DNA test was wrong. They said Catherine and Marcus were lying. They said Sarah was just a woman trying to become famous by pretending to be a princess. But the public did not believe the palace anymore. People were angry. People felt like they had been lied to for 30 years. People wanted the royal family to admit the truth. Then something unexpected happened. The king himself came forward. He appeared on television. He looked tired and sad. He admitted everything. He admitted that his sister Emma had a secret daughter. He admitted that the royal family had hidden this truth. He admitted that they had locked away all the evidence. "My sister Emma was a kind and beautiful person," the king said, his voice breaking with emotion. "She made a difficult choice because she loved her daughter. She wanted Elena to have a normal life, away from the pressure and difficulty of being royal. And I supported that decision. But I also supported keeping it secret. I helped hide the truth. And I was wrong." The king looked directly into the camera. "I am sorry to Sarah. I am sorry to Elena. I am sorry to my sister Emma's memory. I am sorry to everyone who was lied to. The royal family made a mistake. We should have told the truth long ago." After the king's speech, everything changed. The palace officially recognized Sarah as a member of the royal family. She was given her proper title, Princess Elena. Historians and journalists confirmed Catherine's book was accurate. The truth that had been hidden for 30 years was finally known by everyone. What happened to Marcus? At first, he was worried. He thought he would be punished for helping Catherine. But instead, he became famous. He was called a hero. He was a man who had discovered the truth. He was offered book deals, movie interviews, and television appearances. He chose to use his new position to speak about the importance of honesty and truth. 3 months later, the palace offered Marcus a special job. They wanted him to work directly for Princess Elena. They wanted him to be her personal guard and advisor. Marcus accepted. He felt like his life had come full circle. Sarah, who was now Princess Elena, had many feelings. She was confused. She was excited. She was sad for the mother she never knew. But mostly, she felt grateful to know the truth at last. She visited the palace where she had been born. She walked through the hallways and rooms where her mother had walked. She learned about Princess Emma's life. She read the letters that had been locked in the trunk. She cried when she read her mother's words. Elena decided to create a museum in the palace. Not a secret room, but a public museum. It told the story of Princess Emma and Elena. It explained why the secret had been kept. It showed all the evidence. Visitors from around the world came to see it. The story became part of history. A year later, Catherine finished writing another book. It was called The Truth and the Cost. It told the complete story. It told about Marcus finding the trunk. It told about Catherine searching for years. It told about Elena discovering who she really was. It told about how one secret had affected so many lives. On the day the new book was published, Catherine, Marcus, and Elena met together for dinner. They sat in a private room in the palace and talked about everything that had happened. "I am grateful to both of you," Elena said. You gave me my life back. You gave me my real family's history. You gave me the truth. You deserve the truth, Marcus said. We all deserve the truth, Catherine added. Sometimes, the most important thing we can do is tell the truth, even when it is difficult, even when it is dangerous. Elena raised her glass. To truth, she said. To truth, Marcus and Catherine said together. Outside, the world continued to change. Governments began to be more honest. Other royal families began to reveal secrets they had hidden. People began to demand truth from their leaders. All because one guard had been brave enough to open a locked trunk. All because one historian had been determined to find the truth. All because one woman had discovered who she really was. The secret was finally over. The palace was finally honest. And everyone was finally free.